Hi everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Come Testify. It's so wonderful that you could join us once again today. This is the show where people talk about what God is doing in their lives, basically God's goodness. So please make sure you watch to the end, and please do share these stories because we want people out there to be encouraged, to be given hope, and to basically be impacted. So remember to like, to comment, and to share, like I said. And please, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Now, today's show is going to be so exciting because we have royalty among us. Your Royal Highness that you see here, and you're going to see just now why I'm saying that. So, if I were you, I would stay and watch till the end. It's going to be such fun today. Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Thank you, Tsungi. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome, Your Royal Highness. Now, please, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? We want the people, just to understand a little bit about who Jackie is and, the context of the interview, where you're coming from. Who are you? Who is Jackie?
Okay, thank you. Wow, Your Royal Highness.
You need to explain that part, please.
I know, right? I come from Bulawayo, the city of king and queens.
There you go. Ta-da-da.
Yeah. My name is Jacqueline Dube, and commonly known as Jackie. Yes, I'm a wife and a mother of two boys, wonderful boys, Sibusiso and Tando, 7 and 3. I'm a pharmacist by profession. I'm in the business of saving lives through supply chain, procurement and logistics.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. Now, before we continue, I just need to say, I think you can see there's something common here. There's a commonality. We're both wearing red lipstick. This is the lady.
Oh my God.
This is the lady who's responsible. She's the one who taught me how to wear red lipstick. I used to always wonder, and I used to actually went up to her and said, tell me, how do you do it? You put on lipstick in the morning, and it's still there end of day. So I owe her that. She taught me how to wear red lipstick. Okay, now thanks so much. I'm sure the audience now can relax now that we know where you're coming from, the City of Kings and who you are. And I know you've got different things you want to share about your life and the hand of God that you've seen on your life. So please go ahead and testify and give us your testimony and your life story.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tsungi. Where to start? I've got a lot, but today I want to speak about my life 18 years ago. So here it goes. In 2006, I had just finished my A-levels, just gotten my results. You know that period between your results and waiting for college, it's like a 6-month period.
Yes.
So I was there sending in my applications and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I remember it was beginning of May, like winter season in Zimbabwe. I started falling sick and I didn't know what was happening to me. So the problem was with my right boob.
Okay.
So it started swelling. The skin was being eaten up. It looked like a fungal infection. Yeah, well, basically over the years, we diagnosed it as fungus, but you understand why I'm still not sure of the diagnosis. So the doctor said it was a fungus. It was a fungal infection, but nothing would work. All the meds, the orals, the creams, they would try everything, but nothing will work.
Nothing was working.
Yeah, and this was between May and August. So it was painful, Tsungi. Like literally, it had ballooned, and for me to balance the pain, I would have to hold it like this, and I would have to tiptoe for me to balance the pain. Then when I would only tiptoe to the bathroom or tiptoe to get medical attention. And then when I'm home, I'll just have to lie looking up, and then I'll put pillows,
To relieve the pain?
Yeah, to relieve the pain. Okay. And also there was some funny fluid that would come, so I would put towels and stuff. It was really painful, but funny enough, we could not figure out what it was.
None of the doctors could figure out.
None of the doctors could not figure out. But then, to be honest, I can't remember reaching out to a lot of doctors. I think we went to the local doctors, and you'll be thinking that it's nothing.
Yeah, it's going to go away.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And so the most amazing part, I was 19 years old, but during that time, it was May to June.
Winter.
It was winter.
Yeah.
So later in the years, when I started studying the pattern, it looked like whatever it was being triggered by the cold. So it was happening during winter season. So this is the first winter, 2006. But yeah, here's the brilliant part. I was only 19, and during that whole period, I was standing on job. Like I would read job every day. I knew I had in the Bible. I knew all the commas and the full stop, and I went on and on, because for me, in my mind, in as much as, you know, when you are sick in this African life of ours, there'll be so many voices, you know, just like Job's friends, they would come and say this and say that. It also happened to me. But all I could remember was that I would sit people down and I would tell them about the book of Job. Because in my mind, I thought that, you know, this is just a God and the devil thing. God just asked the devil, you are coming from earth, did you see my Jackie? And then the devil was like, I'm going to do things on Jackie. So for me, I felt like I was just a victim, and I was Job. So like the devil would come, try this, try that, try this. And I felt like, you know, God is looking at me, and he's very convinced that Jackie will not go against me. And that's what I was standing on.
Wow.
And I was never moved. And that voice in me was actually the loudest of all the voices around. It was the loudest, and I held on to it. And I remember I would actually sit my mother down, and I'll be like, you know what, leave God alone. This is a Job God conversation right now. Whenever they're going to be done with that back and forth, that's when I will heal. So after around August, it started getting better.
This is which year now?
Still 2006.
2006, okay.
And we still did not know what it was, but I was getting better and better. And then during that time, August 2006, I got a scholarship to go to Algeria for college. And then we did all the paperwork. I was fine. I was not fine, but I'd recovered. And then September, I left for Algeria. Now, I get to Algeria. It's autumn, getting into winter.
Ooh.
And now I'm feeling better. But because it was triggered by the cold, around November, December, I started falling sick again.
Same problem?
Same problem. Now I'm in an environment on my own. My parents are not there. My support system is not there. And, you know, it was just a land with so many barriers, language barrier. Their official language was French.
Okay.
And their mother language was Arab.
Ooh.
And we were new. And also the religious barriers.
They're Muslims, a Muslim country?
They're Muslims, it's a Muslim country. So there was a lot that I was adjusting to. And now I'm carrying this problem that I felt to figure out what it was when I was with my own parents. And you know, back then in 2007, we didn't have social media was not a thing.
No, there was no social media.
There was no social media. It was not a thing.
Not here.
So I would call my parents like once a week, and I had to put airtime to call my parents. So it was hard. I wonder how my roommates and the other girls, like we're 8 girls from Zimbabwe staying in the same hostel, the one that I had traveled with. So during that winter, they would take turns, miss class, take me to the hospitals. And fortunately in Algeria, it's like the healthcare system is free.
It's free.
So I could see specialist after specialist. I could see any professional. I would be told, go there, and I could manage to do that. And they would help me. And then end of winter, it's done. But I would remain with like a cupboard full of different kinds of creams, full of different kinds of orals, injectables. Like they couldn't figure out what it was.
So even in Algeria, they were not able to figure out what the problem was.
No.
That's a real attack from the devil.
Yeah. So at that point, that's why I don't understand why a 19-year-old I would hold on to job, because the whole time, it took me years, but the whole time I'd be like, the devil is not done with his conversation with God. So till they're done, I'll wait for them. And in between, people will lose hope. And I didn't have to tell my parents everything, you know, like there was nothing they could have done.
They'll just get More worried.
More worried. So I think I gave the burden to the people around me. I had a chance to ask one of my roommates, because we're two in the room. Her name is Rumbitsa. She's a doctor now, and she was a med student then.
Okay.
And then she's like, I was so worried every day, and I didn't understand, and it got me so confused. And I was a medical student, and I couldn't help. I felt so hopeless. Then I was like, I can imagine how people felt, because they would miss class to take me there. And then after winter is done, summer, I'm all okay. And then the first year was the French year. Okay. So I had to study a language from the greetings.
Oh,
I'd never done French.
You had to learn French?
I had to learn French
Okay.
for a year before I start.
Okay.
Because I did my studies in French.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that was hard.
Yeah, it must have been. Especially like a science. I think that's more difficult than yeah.
Yeah, everything was just hard. It was too much,
Yeah.
especially for the pain that I was going through. So during summer holidays, that's the following year, and now this thing has been going on for a year. I'm fine. Everything is okay. Come winter, the following year, the second winter in Algeria, it starts. And now I'm not only going around my city, I'm now going beyond, like I'll be referred to the capital city because they were more advanced and stuff, but still we did not figure it out. Till around end of 2008-9, I think the girls, because we had started real like schooling, so, and it was not easy to maneuver like in their environment, because women were not allowed to just move around like freely.
Okay.
So sometimes we'll be abused, sometimes they'll spit on us.
Oh,
You know,
goodness, really?
they never used to understand, like they used to call us kalusha, meaning blacks. So sometimes when they see you, they start touching you to understand how the black skin looks like, or they touch your hair to see if it's real, or they just spit on you.
Spitting, that's abusive.
So, well, that was our life anyway. It was quite normal. So
Sorry,
sometimes
can I ask you, does that mean there weren't that many blacks there, or what?
No.
Why was there fascination? At the time, there
they were,
wasn't.
yeah.
Okay.
So for them, they were fascinated. But we're all Africans. So
We're all from the continent of Africa.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, at some point, my friend, then my husband now, he's the one, because initially before he moved to our city, we started engaging the guys to say, I need to go with the guy to
Zimbabwean
move around.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they will also miss class so that at least for us to be safe, we'll move around with a guy. So when he moved to our city, he started also taking me. And then, yeah, till around 2009, I remember it was summer, but I was now getting scared that after summer, then
Winters.
what? Then I go through that process again. That was 2009, and I was done. And I'm like, you know what, God, I've given you a lot of time. This thing should just finish. This conversation should just finish. The devil should just give up. So I remember I was in this Ghanaian, because we're a lot of different countries and we're all black staying in one hostel. So her name was Mona. So she was 3 years older than me, and we're in the same profession. So Mona starts having an interest in, like, she didn't understand, like, why you'd go all these years. Like, I literally had a cupboard full of
medicine.
And, you know, I would try, after a week, the fungus is resistant. I get something else. Literally after a week, it's out count days. After 7 days, it's not working anymore.
Try something
Then
else.
I try something else. After 7 days, it's not working anymore. So she was also fascinated to say, what is this? Then she says, you know what, wait a minute. I've got someone who can help you from Ghana. And that person was a friend then, her husband now. So she called, he was a doctor. And she called him and she explained everything. And the guy was like, no, we'll try to help. I'll try to figure out what it was. Send me all the prescriptions, all
Everything
the
you've
tests,
taken.
everything. I had a file.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Over
because,
the years.
you know, like healthcare was free. So I could do any investigation.
Yeah.
So I had a file. So we sent him. And then he that just said, this is nothing. I think you are worrying. And I'm like, this is like going on, you know, it's like 2 good years and like 4 winters. And then that holiday, she had to go home to Ghana. And then when she came September 2009, there's another winter coming through. And then she came with 2 tubes. Funny enough, she brought me terbinafine, which I used
Is
at
that
some
for
point.
an antifungal?
It's an antifungal.
Okay.
And then I had used the brand, the expensive one, and I had used the generic.
And it hadn't worked.
But it hadn't worked. So she brought me 2 tubes of terbinafine. Then come November, it's starting now, full blown. Just applied 1 week, it's not getting resistant. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, after 4 weeks, I've healed.
Oh, wow.
I've healed so because at some point it will be so painful, and the fungus will eat up, and everything will be exposed. So I would literally have to carry myself around like this. And then started closing up till I got back to normal. And that was the first winter I enjoyed. And then they brought 2 tubes. So at some point they finished because I would apply morning and evening.
And this is only during winter?
This is only during winter.
Okay.
But I hadn't figured out the pattern at that moment, at that time. So we had to send someone who had gone back to Ghana. And I think that person was a diplomat at that time. And he was going back home.
To get some more.
And then he brought me some more. And then I actually had a sort of like a bag
of
full
that
of
medication. So couldn't you get that medication in Algeria?
I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know what? I did not even take a photo. I did not even record, and up to now, like I know that it was terbinafine, but the company and all. So you don't think about such things. You'll be like, I'm now healed. But now, because I'm a professional, there's nothing that passes my eyes. I need to know exactly what it is.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow.
Yeah. So that was 2009 to 2010, because it's winter going through up to 2010 March, and I'm fine. And following winter, it starts again. But it's now mild. It's beginning to be mild. Then I'll just apply and it goes, apply and it goes. 2011, 12, 13, every other winter I'm applying and it goes. And so when I came back home, and then now I know it's a norm that winter it comes out and I apply, but it's not as painful. And it's just mild. It wasn't as severe as it used to be. Like I could feel the pain. Sometimes I would walk around like this, but people would not see.
Okay.
So around 2000, when I was back home after college, I think it was 3 years later, that's when I was like, sometimes you just have to declare, call things that are not as if they are.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, you know what, God, this has gone over for years. I know your timing is right. I know you answer prayers, you answer instant prayers, and you answer, in the flesh we say long prayers, but according to God, it's the right time. So don't you think now is the time?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I will not wait for God's answer. I'm just going to declare. I'll be like, you know what? Every cell in my body, my skin, is smooth, there is no fungus, there is nothing, and I am healed. Amen. So that's what I would do. I moved from job, and I'll be like, okay, the job chapter is done.
It's done.
Now we are calling things that are not
faith,
as if they are.
Yes.
So every time it would come, because I think my last cream had finished. Then I'm like, I'm not going all the way to Ghana to buy anything. I'm calling this, and I'm calling it fresh and healthy. And even like when the patches would come out, I'd be like, not this time. And it worked. It worked. And that was it. I think it's over 6 years now.
Wow.
It worked. And I'm here every other winter. I've forgotten. I don't even think about it. I am not scared.
It's powerful.
I was like, I'm going to declare this. And this is going to happen this winter. I'll see patches, but for me, there are no patches. And come following winter, we are not praying about this. We are praying about other things.
Yes.
Yeah. So
wow, the power of God's word and declarations.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's how it was gone. But up to now, to be honest, I don't know what was going on. I know that it was a fungal infection because terbinafine is an antifungal. But I don't know whether it was about the excipients in that generic, but I feel like like God and Satan were also done. The devil was like, the
conversation was over.
I give up. The conversation was over. So I'm saying that because, sometimes I feel like, we always go through the valley. It's not like that was my valley and it's over. You know, every day you go through the valley. But sometimes I feel like the things that happen and the peace that I have and the way God comes through, I feel like when the devil is sitting with his vessels trying to attack God's vessels, I feel like the devil then comes and says, guys, you're plotting on Jackie. No, Jesus we know, Peter we know, and Jackie, remember, we know. This one is
other incidents.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
that's powerful.
Just leave Jackie alone. Let's move on to
I
the
like
next
that.
thing.
I like that.
So that's what
Tried and tested.
Yeah. So I feel like even the devil will be like, this one we know.
Leave her alone.
Just leave her alone. I've dealt with this one and leave her. She's God's. Because that's how I think there's some things that I'll be feeling like, okay, this just happened and I've like you're overcoming, and you'll be like, why? Then I'll be like, okay, yeah, the devil is in the round table and like, leave Jackie alone. So that's my life. Of course.
That's powerful. That's really powerful testimony. Wow.
Yeah. So that was it. That was my story. The funny part is that I was young. I was 19. And when I look back, this thing was happening during winter, so it was triggered by the cold. It was a fungal infection, never diagnosed. We still don't know even the fluid that would come out, the biopsies. We still don't have answers. But the whole time, I never worried. The whole time, I never thought, I don't remember saying, why God? Of course, I would cry because the pain was too much. But I never put God in a position where I was saying, why? I don't remember. What I remember, I was like, I'm Job, I'm a victim. Guys, if you're done with your conversation, that's when I will be done, I'll get healed. And I only remember when I then said, you know what, God, now it's my time to declare. Yeah.
I like that. God is so faithful. Wow. And I know when you're talking about Algeria, there's something that I think you wanted to talk another element about that. Is it something you wanted to also talk about? Yeah, about, because you talked about, and that's a very specific country. You hear about people going, to England, people going to Canada, people going to the States, even to Europe, even to Poland. But Algeria, not as much maybe, or maybe I haven't heard about it. How did you get to go to Algeria? It's very interesting. I just thought there might be something in that.
Okay, Algeria, I think the how part, I think it's in line with the story where I feel like God was trying to show that I am present. Remember, I'd finished my A-levels and I'm waiting to go to college. And then I'm very sick. And then everyone is worrying. And imagine, I don't know how my parents felt, like you have to let go your child and they've been through all that. Because I was bedridden for like 3 months.
Oh gosh.
And then you have to go so far away. So, and then suddenly it's a scholarship. And how I got that scholarship, a friend of mine, she's called Kathy, 3 houses away. She just came across a newspaper, a dirty folded newspaper. That part,
thrown away.
Yeah, it was literally thrown away. So she had to unfold it, and she had to come. She came running, saying, "Come and see this, because she was a year ahead, so it didn't apply to her." Then I read, and then I'm like, Algeria scholarship, and the deadline for submission was the following day. So I read it. I'm like, I need to do this. I'm like, of course I can do it. But at that point, I always laugh at myself. The deadline was 12 noon the next day.
Oh.
But in my mind, I was doing all my paperwork saying, as long as I get to the post by 12, as long as I submit it by 12, because it was like a physical application.
Okay.
So for me, it was like by 12, it needs to be by the post. So that's what I did. It was later that I'm like, no, but a deadline means it has to be there in Harare by 12. So that was also God's hand, because after that I was called for interviews, and I was the only girl from the southern region, from Bulawayo, and a few boys, and the rest, they were from the northern region. So, and that on its own, I could not speak Shona. I was not exposed to Shona. And then here I am, the only Ndebele. So within our circle, I was trying to, work around navigating the language barrier. And then I get there's another language barrier.
French, and you said Arabic.
Yeah. So it was a scholarship, and then that's how I went. And I feel like God was trying to show me that He is there, because I'm going through all this and now I get a scholarship. And
Wow.
during the
Yeah.
time we were doing the paperwork, I managed to go. I was okay. And then I fell sick when I got there. But for me, I'm like, I feel like God was there all the time, because during that time, that's what was the time I learned an extra language. So, and then I was exposed to a lot of professionals, to a lot of people, even diplomats, because, when we had to send for another tube, we had to talk to our black family,
Yeah, the
and we
community.
didn't have an embassy, so we relied on other people's embassies. So I would talk to everyone, all the prominent people, all the big fish. So that's how I think that's how I
big
don't
fish.
have challenges with speaking to anyone.
Yes.
Because I've been through
Yeah.
like all levels.
All levels of people.
Of people.
That's wonderful.
And they manage to help. So it's not about where you are, it's about
Whose you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
A child
That's
of God,
powerful.
a daughter of God.
Yeah. So again, during that season, besides gaining all that, and my husband, I found him in Algeria as well.
There you go. Now, if you hadn't gone there and gone to all the other places everyone goes, you might not have met him.
Yeah, and then basically, I think so. There were a lot of wins. I came out with a degree, and it never affected my results. It never affected my performance. I was just like any other normal. If you didn't know I was sick, I know most of my professors, they knew, because they were also worried and they were also helping out with the investigations. But it's not like I had to stay like at home for a month because I was sick.
Okay.
So a lot of good things then came out. So for me, I think throughout the process, God was also showing me that He is present. He will never leave me. And that's why I was holding on to the book of Job, to say, God is looking at me. He is just having his conversation with the devil, but He is with me, because all these things were happening whilst I was in pain.
Wow, it's amazing. So it's such a powerful testimony. We just see so many elements there of healing, of declaration, and of not questioning or blaming God. I like that about your testimony, where you were just steadfast, like what Job was. And I can see why you were holding onto the book of Job.
Yeah, and I don't know why I was young. I keep thinking, why did I choose Job?
Yeah.
And then I now that I've grown up, I'm like, that was a revelation.
It was.
Because it only came from Job, from God. Because why did I choose that book in the Bible and hold on to it for years? For years, there is no script that I didn't know about Job. For years, and that was my armor that I was wearing during that time.
And I think also it's because when you read the story of Job, he suffered, so much. But in the end, there was restoration. And when you look at your story, I see parallels there where in the end, even though, because yours was quite some years, I think if I'm not mistaken, 10 years or something, where you were getting this disease you didn't know about. But total deliverance came after a long time. There was restoration in the end. Just like we see it mirrored in Job's story. So I think maybe you didn't know it at the time, but that's what was going to happen. So you were drawn to it. I think it's, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. I think it's the one who gave you even that book to study, to say, sometimes, bad things happen to good people. When you read about Job, it says he was blameless and all that stuff. It was, he loved
righteous,
God.
Yeah.
So, wow, thank you so much for that testimony. But I also want to just ask you, there are other people also who were in the same position. It could be a disease or something. It could be something else that's not explainable. I don't know. What can you say? I always want, my guests to give someone a take-home message, something that people can hold on to. I like the scholarship bit as well, because people are probably believing for scholarships or for something that will help them, in their lives. And it's not always the expected. Like I said, people go to the normal places. You went to an unexpected place because God was ordering your steps. But also the healing elements, or some sort of suffering that people are hoping to be relieved from. What can you say to people, just before you go, like as a take-home message?
Okay. Well, I would say 3 things. that I came out with from that season, I've already alluded. God is present. God, I went through the valley of the shadow of death, but God was present. And it's not like it was the only valley. Trust me, there are days when I feel like, in my house we've got a white chair. Sometimes I'll be like, Jesus, just take the chair and sit and face me and show me that you are there, And it's so difficult. And he shows up, but he won't come and sit on the chair like you want. But he will do things to show you that he is there.
Yeah.
Like I said, during that season, there were so many gains. He was there for me. Language barrier, religious barrier. Like they were all Muslims, and we only had one Christian church, and everyone would go there. All the foreigners would go to that one in the city, and the rest was Muslim. So there were a lot of barriers, but we overcame. And so it showed that he was present. And maybe for me, I got out with my calling from that. Because I was helped by someone who was in Ghana, a doctor, very far. He never knew me. I actually don't remember his name.
Okay.
I remember Mona, his wife now. But he didn't have to look for me. He didn't have to ask for money from me. So for me, then I realized that, you know what, I need to do the same.
Pay it
for
forward. Yeah.
God's people. So that's how, even in my profession, I like to reach out. I have this satisfaction when I'm out there reaching out to the hard to reach communities. If I'm sitting in the office and I know that what I'm doing is going to help someone who's probably been everywhere looking for salvation, looking for restoration, but it will take me to listen or to get an order or to do my job right, so that I help some person where I don't know where they are. So that's why I am always inclined, and I find satisfaction in the hard to reach communities. And I always want to make sure, because that guy could have reached out to the people that he sees, but he decided to extend to the people that he doesn't see and he has no business with. Yeah, and then God is present. Then number 2, I didn't realize that's what I was doing till one of our pastors preached about it. Like, whatever you do, whatever valley you are in, stand on a verse. Find a verse that speaks to healing in the situation that you are in, and stand on it. I stood on Job when I was 19 from Norway, and that's what I carried. I don't remember reading any other verse in the book, especially for those 3 years. I held on to Job for that season, because I knew my restoration is going to come. So always find a verse that speaks to what you are going through, and hold on to it. Pray about it, recite it, write it everywhere. And that's a take-home message. And then number 3, God answers prayers.
He does.
He is faithful. And in the flesh, as human beings, we always think that God takes long. And then, that's how we put it across. But for me, God didn't take long for my restoration. It was the right time.
At the right time.
Because I also believe that if God wants to answer, to respond to instant prayers, he does.
He does, and he does do that.
So, like from the book of 2 Kings, the story of King of Aram and King of Israel, and the men of God coming through to be sort of like giving hints to the King of Israel that King of Aram is plotting this, is plotting that, is plotting that. So, you see him when the King of Aram sent, the army and the horses and the chariots to attack him and the servant. The servant woke up in the morning and he was like, we are under attack. And then what did he do? He prayed and said, God, open his eyes. And immediately his eyes were opened.
They were, yes.
And that was an instant response.
Yes.
And when they came through, when he went back to the window, he saw everything was on fire. And then the man of God was like, God, blind them so that I can go show them who they are actually looking for. So they went all the way to Samaria blinded. When they got there to the king of Israel, God was like, open their eyes. So, for me, it shows that God is there and
Amen.
God will answer instant prayers. So when he takes long, which is what we think, and that's how I'm putting it across, but that's not it. It's he does it at the right time. So when we feel like he takes long, we should always remember that there are instances when he answers prayers, like he gives us instant responses. So if he can give us an instant response in a different situation and takes long in another, we should not give up.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he's doing and he knows when the time is right for your prayers to be answered, even if they take years. And also, if it takes long, the way we think, he will always be present.
I like that because that reminds me, always present, I'll never leave you or forsake you. And then Isaiah says that when the time is right,
Yeah.
the Lord will do it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jackie. Wow, that is, very powerful.
Yeah,
Very, very
so
powerful.
probably to the audience, I would want to share this, paraphrasing a verse from the Bible. So going back to hold on to a verse that speak to, or a chapter, God is saying to me, you Tsungi and everyone, attend to my words, incline your ear to my sayings. Let not your eyes depart from my ways. Keep them in the midst of your heart. That's the only way you can overcome.
Amen. Wow, I have nothing to add. You've said it all. So powerful. Thank you. Very encouraging. And I know it's helped people out there. Don't give up. Just stand on the words. And at the right time, God is going to answer. Maybe sooner than you think. So be ready. Might be later or late in our view. But remember, God is the owner. He's the one who owns time.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. So thank you, Jackie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Powerful testimony. And we appreciate it. We're honored to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
And wish you the best with all your endeavors. And I'd like to thank the audience too. Thank you for watching to the end. I'm sure you were uplifted. Bye-bye, and I will see you next time.